Chelsea tonight, semi-final in the Middle East, the Club World Cup. Chelsea play Al Hilal. You know the other semi-final?
I haven't got a clue.
You see, that's the thing. Do you, Simon? Probably not. Monterrey against Al Jazeera.
Monterrey.
What's the point of all this? Why do Premier League clubs indulge in these tournaments? I know the answer is money, but I mean, should they at this particular time? Fixture congestion, etc., etc.
I think once you're in that position, and I kind of seen this last season with Liverpool. Once you're in that situation, you want to win it. I think Liverpool took their first team out there and played a young team over in one of the cup competitions. I think for everyone else, it's one of them where there's not that much interest, if I'm being brutally honest. I didn't know who the other semi-final was. I think now Chelsea are there, they want to win it. They want to have that trophy and that silverware in their cabinet, and why not? But I think unless you're there, unless you're involved, it's not really that interesting to the average English fan or British fan.
I just get this image
it's not of interest to no one, particularly besides the financial returns that Chelsea get. But what it does, it will ring fence the argument that people can't complain about fixture congestion whilst they're taking on meaningless games. The challenge is that Thomas Tuchel will still have that argument because he won't have wanted to play in this, and he'll have been told he's playing in it. So the argument will still reverberate, which is, what are you whining about for fixture congestion? Shut your silly trap about how tired your players are, because you're taking them halfway across the world to play in a meaningless set of games. Right? He will then turn around and say, if he's got anything about him, well, I didn't want to play in these games. It's actually the consequences of a commercial arrangement that someone else made on my behalf. And around we go on that discussion.
You would actually say it in those terms, wouldn't you?
Have you had a little turn on Thomas Tuchel?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying that
he used to be your new best friend.
I'm actually defending him in terms of it. This won't be his decision, because the narrative is simple. Why would Chelsea have the legitimacy to complain now? And I'm saying that Thomas Tuchel has been complaining previously, but I didn't think he had the right to do it. I think he should have shut his mouth and got on with it like most people have to.
That's what I mean.
Right?
It seems like you're slightly changing your opinion.
Come on, you can't say just because you like somebody. If you sit there and say that you like somebody and then defend everything they do, then you're moving into the camp of the thing you accuse people of, which is being blinded to certain things. Like I sit here pointing out the failings of you, and you can't see them.
To be fair, though, it wasn't early days loving.
No, it wasn't. It was an admiration based upon what was there to be admired.
Factual.
If he then does something that's not to be admired, do I then hold him to the same set of standards? I give him the benefit of a doubt, and I've got a little bit more latitude in my thinking. But if I sit there and say he does something awful, but because he did something good, it exonerates the awful behaviour, of course not.
So Chelsea are only there for the money.
What else would they be there for? What else would they be there for? And Thomas Tuchel will have the get out of jail card saying, well, I didn't make these fixtures and I didn't want them. It's not based upon merit, is it? It's based upon money.
Be honest. Playing for this trophy, it doesn't come near it. You're not telling us that this is a worthwhile tournament that's worth winning.
It's not, but they're there, so they might as well go and win it. And I think that's the attitude that Thomas Tuchel and his squad will have. They're there, they're not there for a holiday, so they might as well win the game against Al Hilal and then win the final when they get there and bring the Super Cup home. Simple
Azpilicueta apparently is saying this is the only trophy that Chelsea haven't won, and that's why it's an important trophy.
Well, that's on his resume then, isn't it?
I know, but I just think I just get this image like years down the line, someone will say to Azpilicueta, remember you guys when you went out to wherever the hell it was and you won the Club World Cup? Who was it you were playing against? He won't be able to tell you. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the money, Simon says
it's right. It's for the money.
But the flip side of that argument, let me just play devil's advocate, is that FIFA are trying to build a tournament around this. And they're trying to build a tournament around. There's a battle going on between FIFA and UEFA about domestic football. FIFA are trying to get a tournament into the domestic schedule of a more meaningful FIFA World Club Championship. So it becomes not just an individual set of games, a semi-final and a final. Yeah. It becomes a bit like the World Club Championship running alongside the Champions League. So there might be a slightly bigger picture in terms of Chelsea positioning themselves to be amongst those so-called elite clubs that would be considered to be part of the World Club Championship, because dollars for donuts, they'll find a way to do it without merit. They'll try to do it on some sort of coefficient.
Do we know what the prize money is for this at the moment, the Club World Cup?
That's a good point. We'll find out. But I mean, when you think the company in which they're keeping, Al Hilal, Monterrey, Al Jazeera, I mean, what? Who cares? I remember many, many years ago. Is it $5 million, Luke? $5 million. There you go.
That's a fair, £3 million.
Decent amount.
I mean, the clubs go into these things, Trevor, and I think they're drag kicking and screaming half the time. I remember many years ago, Celtic fans will correct me if I'm wrong, Celtic won the European Cup under Jock Stein, then had to go off and play Estudiantes of Argentina, who were a team of assassins, and kicked Celtic off the pitch. And it wasn't in any way worthwhile as an exercise.
Yeah.
But Celtic still had to go on with it. Bertiotta, I remember, getting involved in a fight with an Argentinian player.
It was a good
It was
tournament.
horrendous.
I can remember Liverpool going out there and playing flamenco when Zico was in the team, and other teams that have been big in this particular competition. We're looking at names that I'm not entirely sure why they'd be in the FIFA World Cup.
Exactly.
And that's my ignorance.
Exactly.
Right?
No,
Not
I
necessarily reasons for saying they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But you look at it and say, well, it doesn't look like it on paper a particularly auspicious tournament, but
Yeah.
in previous versions of it, we
Yeah.
have seen the champions of England or the champions of Europe, play in these tournaments, and they've been playing against arguably the biggest sides in South America, and it's had its lure.
Yeah.
This to me doesn't feel the same way.
So do you think this should be sacrificed? If anything's going to go, this one should go.
Well, if you're arguing the fact that Thomas Tuchel is happy to play in it and sees it as competition that's worth playing in, then he can't have the flip side of the argument, which is the players are congested and tired.
Exactly.
He needs to dial it back a bit.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSport app and on your smart speaker. TalkSport.